Kent, obviously your group's one of the ones that probably has some of the biggest questions going into the season. How do you kind of, the synopsis, I guess, of your group, or how do you look at your group going into camp?
I think we got a ton of potential. Obviously, Jake and Al played a ton for us last year, but Chase Blakely's actually got a bunch of experience. It would be good to get him back after missing last season. But we were watching. He was out there on the first play of the season last year, so he's a guy that certainly has been a starter type guy for us, and really expect big things from him. Obviously, John Bates got a ton of experience last year, and really came on at the end of the year and really did some good things. And I think both those guys had good springs. Garrett Collingham had an excellent spring for us. I think he's a guy that brings some really good stuff for us. He's a smart, tough guy, can run. So I think he's a guy that'll probably surprise some people. And then Matt Pistone's been a reliable guy for a couple of years and made a few plays for us, made some big blocks. So he'll only see more time. These guys probably aren't that far off of where Jake and Al were a couple of years ago. And then, unfortunately, Jake got hurt. And maybe we took a step back in some production there, but we also, because we had Thomas Spurbeck, Chaz, and Sed, balls just kind of went to them a little bit more. But I think these guys will be able to step up and replace what we need them to.
Is it exciting feeling for the guys, knowing that there is so much available?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Those guys have been working their butts off, and I think they know there's a chance for them to do some really big, special things.
The new redshirt rule, that would seem like it would benefit you probably. How do you look at that and obviously, decide you can go the first couple games and keep the competition going, I guess, if you're going to need to play either of those guys?
Yeah, and even if they're, at some point I would expect them to play. We've got 4 games to use them, so I would think that. And if that happens to be game 1 and the guy shows that he can really contribute, then he probably wouldn't redshirt at all. If it's game 1 and he needs a little more work, we could put him on the shelf for a little bit and bring him back later. I think about last year, not that we didn't have many freshman tight ends we were redshirting last year, but we were down to John Bates and Matt Pistone for a little bit.
Didn't you bring Nick back at one point?
Yeah,
you were.
We had Brock Barr working at tight end. So if you had, that would have been a huge impact for us at the end of the year had we had somebody we could have done that with. But this year, obviously, we do. If those guys aren't going to be guys that are ready at the start of the year, then certainly, hey, at the very least, you get towards the end of the season, you got more depth.
I know you haven't been able to be out there much with Ty Neal in terms of just on the field stuff, but he's getting hype's the right word, but a lot of attention in terms of being one of the higher ranked recruits, in this class, and obviously people see the opening at tight end. Is he a guy conceivably that you guys are counting on to maybe be a key guy in the rotation?
I would say we're going to push all these guys early on and figure out everybody's role from that. But yeah, everybody's going to have the same opportunity at the start. He's obviously been here most of the summer, so had a bunch of chance to meet with him. But our other 2 young tight ends are doing a good job too, and we'll see what they can do. And
Harsh was talking about media days how you guys ran a lot more 2 and 3 tight end sets maybe last year than you had, just because of what you had, and especially 3 once John kind of came on. He says, I don't know if we'll be able to do that this year. How much is the fall going to be trying to just figure out what you have at this group?
I think it's going to be, a lot of it. And I think the same thing is going to be said for running back, receiver, O-line. We'll figure out a creative way to use our best 11 guys. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to have plenty of depth at tight end to get done what we need to get done. Probably going to have plenty of depth at receiver and running back to get some different stuff done. So might look a little bit different, maybe not because the tight ends can't do it or the receivers can't do it or the tailback, but because they all can do it, maybe it all becomes a little bit more multiple. So,
with John Bates, we saw him obviously the last couple of games start to get more playing time, get a couple of catches. Is he, everyone's kind of saying, he's ready to be the guy. But how do you go from 3 to 25 catches? I mean, is he ready to kind of take that step? Or?
Hard work.
Yeah.
You know, hard work, reps, being a reliable guy for the quarterback. I think, yeah.
I mean, is he ready? Have you seen enough to think that you can count on him for a significantly increased role?
I think, like I said, I think all 4 of those older guys, because we saw them in the spring, I think all 4 of those guys have potential to do really good things. So they were all reliable with what we needed them to get done. So I expect that to continue through fall camp and right on through the season.
Is it kind of, I mean, I'm sure you'd like to have Jake Rowe back again, but is it kind of, as a coach, kind of exciting, fun, just kind of a new challenge to kind of see how all the pieces are going to fit?
It definitely is, but yeah, we'd definitely love to have Jake Rowe back too, and Al. Those guys are awesome. Love those guys, and we would take them back. Holden Huff, Jake Hardy, we'd take all of them back, you know. But it's just in the nature of college football, and there's a great opportunity for these guys to step up, and shoot, in a couple of years we'll probably be going, how are we ever going to replace these guys? But that's the beauty of Bronco football is somebody's going to step up and get it done. And I expect this group to do that.
Special teams, you bring back pretty much all the pieces. I mean, is it just kind of trying to build off what those guys did last year?
Yeah, really keep trying to improve of it. The one thing we do have to replace, we have to replace Brock Barr. He was awesome for us as our long snapper. But yeah, the other guys all coming back, and they've all got experience now. And would expect them to continue to work as hard as they have and perform like they have and keep working on consistency and continue to build on that.
Who's going to be in the mix at kick returner?
Avery, Rob Mahone, Alexander Madison, Cartrell Thomas, maybe Kala.
The same guys at punt returner? Or
punt return would be Avery and CT, Sean Modster, and then of all these young new receivers we have, we're going to try all those guys and possibly some of the DBs and see what those guys can do.
Is Pittman then at long snapper, or who's always kind of
short snapper for field goals, which he did last year for us.
Okay, yeah. So then, what are you looking at?
And then Nick and Cantrell.
Oh yeah.
Be our first 2 long snappers, and then there's a few of these freshmen who play other positions that we'll try out and see if one of those guys can.
Down there media days, talking to all the coaches around the league, I mean, it was just such varying opinions on that new rule with the fair catch. How do you got, I think Craig Bull was saying it'll be fun for 1 year. No, it was Rocky Long was saying it'll be fun for 1 year, but then then everybody will see this.
My guess is we'll end up going to what the NFL is doing.
Okay.
Because that's just generally, it seems like how it works.
Okay. Well, he was saying like the first year everyone will try different things. He thinks they'll maybe be more onside kicks or more pooch kicks or more just kind of trying to see if you can get an advantage. But then the stats will say what the stats are, and in year 2 everyone will do the same thing. I mean, do you think there's a little bit of a wild card this year and how to play that?
I would just say, in going back through a couple years and watching all the ones that in theory could have been fair caught. So outside the 25, a fair catch is still a fair catch. It wouldn't have changed anything. So take those out of it. Touchbacks are still touchbacks. So you're talking about everything really from the goal line to the 25. Over just the raw data of a couple seasons, it really wouldn't change your thought a whole bunch. Now, week to week, game to game, you might be like, well, we don't want to return it against these guys, or we don't want them to even have a chance to return it against us. So, or maybe weather comes into play, something like that. So I think it's way more of a week to week strategy thing than a just flat out. Now I'm sure there's 130 teams or whatever in college football now, so or in Division One. FBS.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I always have stuff like that. But anyway, I'm sure you can find 5 teams that are going like, no, this is absolutely what we're doing. But I think most people, it's going to be a week to week. How do we match up against these guys? What are the conditions? Than just a hard and fast,
this is what we're going to do.
rule.
Yeah.